morning, Captain, officers, fellow chiefs, sailors, and friends. I am Senior Chief James Ingling, and I will be your Master of Ceremonies. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the fiscal year 2022 USS Frank Cable Chief Petty Officer's Pinning Ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the parading of the colors, the national anthem, the arrival of the chief selectees, and remain standing for the invocation. Color Guard, parade the colors.
Color detail, attention. Carry colors. Forward, march.
Hand, salute.
Mark time. March. Detail. Halt. Left. Face. Present. Arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, and the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ready, two. Color Guard, retire the colors.
Order. Arms. Cut. Right. Face. Forward. March.
Hand, salute. Ready, two. Chief selectees, post.
Out to sea, fight our battle cry. We'll never change our course, so vicious, boastful, shy. Roll out the TNT, boom, anchors away. Sail on to victory and sink your bones to Davy Jones' parade. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. you a happy voyage home. Blue of the mighty deep, gold of God's great sun. Let these our colors be, till all of time be done, 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 done. On 7 seas we learn Navy's stern call. Faith, courage, service true, with honor over all. Go Navy, Navy Chief, Navy Pride.
Lieutenant Caniaro will now deliver the invocation.
Let us pray. Eternal Father, we assemble before you on this day you have made. We honor you, the maker of all things. We commit to you our chiefs select, who today join the rich and storied ranks of becoming United States Navy chiefs. We thank you for all those who have made this journey possible. In particular, we remember their families. As each one enters the mess, the backbone and anchor to our Navy's success, may the many lessons in leadership, honor and integrity, advocacy, and discipline, now much more required, follow them into the mess. As they don the cover, wear the anchors, bend your ear to them and give them deeper insight to you, the one who can anchor troubled souls and heavy hearts. They've been prepared, tested, and selected. May they persevere as they assume this mantle of guardianship to protect and guide sailors and Marines and their families. Bless them. Bless the crew and leaders of the USS Frank Cable. Bless our Navy and these United States. It is in your strong name that we ask. Amen.
Thank you, Lieutenant Caniaro, for the invocation. Guests, please be seated. Chief selectees, parade, rest. Good morning, fellow chiefs and shipmates, special guests, family, and friends. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you here today to witness a Navy tradition that has been performed for over 128 years. Today we celebrate the rich legacy and the time-honored tradition of welcoming our 4 newest Chief Petty Officers into our Chief's Mess. It is my pleasure to introduce Captain Albert Alarcon, Commanding Officer, USS Frank Cable.
Thank you, Senior Chief Englund. Families, friends, shipmates, and especially to our chief selectees, good morning and congratulations. Let's extend a most sincere welcome to our Chief's Mess, our chief selectees, and your families, especially your families whose love and support over the years were so vitally important in making today become a reality. Today is a very special day you will fondly remember for the rest of your lives. This is the day you become a Chief Petty Officer in the United States Navy. Today's ceremony culminates your years of hard work, your sacrifices, and your proven and sustained performance. And it resonates the love and support of your families throughout your years of service to our country. For Chief Select Gappeth, Chief Select Gonzalez, Chief Select Renaud, Chief Select Salmons, this is an endorsement from your Chief's Mess and your leadership team that you have what it takes to lead our sailors as a Chief Petty Officer. For 128 years, since the rank of Chief Petty Officer was created, only the most capable and talented sailors have been selected to wear the golden anchors and to earn the honor of being called Chief. And here you are, moments away from becoming part of this highly respected and exclusive community as a Chief Petty Officer. Congratulations. If there is but one thing I ask you to remember from these remarks, it's these 3 simple words. Be the Chief. Be the Chief. Throughout the initiation season, our Chief's Mess has prepared you for today's formal transition. You are ready. And as you assume your new identity and role, remember to be the Chief. It will test your abilities, it will test your patience, and it will also be very rewarding. So what does it mean to be the Chief? As the Chief, you shape our daily success. And more importantly, you develop sailors and junior officers alike in a way that is very unique to our own sea service. You have a far-reaching impact on everyone you serve with. Everyone respects the Chief across the entire chain of command because our chiefs are the backbone of our Navy. When commanding officers are faced with challenges, they will immediately ask, what does Chief recommend we do? And what does Chief feel is the best way forward? The Chief is a leader who leads with humility, empathy, and patience. He or she places their people first, always, and is at the front, setting the example and the pace for their sailors to learn from. Set high standards. Set high standards for your team to follow, and continue to coach and develop your sailors. The Chief is the undisputed subject matter expert in their field, and this carries forward in mentoring and training your sailors. Always work to stay at the top of your field. The Chief is a team builder. He or she builds relationships, always. Unifies people and enables many to come together and find success through teamwork in accomplishing the mission. The Chief is a strong communicator. Information flow across the entire chain of command is vital, and you are the enabler of bringing that information where it ought to be, where decisions ought to be made every day on the deck plates, equipping our sailors for success. And the Chief is always training his or her relief, grooming the next generation of Chief Petty Officers who will carry your legacy forward. Remember, creating an environment where your sailors feel safe, where they feel a sense of belonging, and where they feel value will pay itself forward as you build your team. We had the opportunity to discuss that earlier this week. And remember that you set the moral and ethical compass of your team. When it comes to integrity, honor, and character building, your sailors will watch and emulate your attitude and your commitment. Today, you enter an entirely new level of leadership and responsibility, and it will be one of the most rewarding aspects of your career. It is now your turn to be the Chief, to wear the anchors in the khaki uniform, to shoulder the responsibility and the burdens of leadership, to always be ready to answer the call, and to carry forward our Navy's highest traditions. Seize that opportunity and fulfill it to the best of your ability. Remember that you are carrying forward the expectations and the legacy of the great Chief Petty Officers who came before you to uphold the proud heritage you carry forward today. I wish you all the very best as you lead and serve our sailors on the deck plates. Congratulations, and may God always bless you, your families, our crew, and our ship. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Alarcon, for your remarks and also for your unwavering support over the last 6 weeks. It is now my pleasure to introduce Master Chief Norm Clark, Command Master Chief, USS Frank Cable.
Good morning. I'm going to stand up here. My first order of business is Steve Adams, you're now fired. Right, this is way too tall. Right? So I'd like to take a moment, thank everyone for joining us. This is what we personally is our favorite day of the year. This day we welcome our new Chief Petty Officer, new RMS, Captain XO. Thank you both for taking time out of your busy day to make this event and join us in today's pinning ceremony. Thank you, Chapter County Aru, for the invocation. That was awesome. Chiefs Mess, since 2019, we haven't done a pinning in September because of COVID. But maybe someday we'll get back to that. We're slowly working our way back. This year's in November. Last year was in January, or earlier this year was in January. Maybe we'll work our way back to September next year. The Chiefs Initiation Season is a time for the Chiefs Mess to provide leadership and guidance to those that have been selected so they become Chiefs and not E7s. For the selectees, I'm sure there is no one in this front porch that is more pleased that this day has finally arrived than you. No more questions about charge books. No more tasking and weekly orders. No more PT sessions at 0530 with questions about who is running the PT session. No more asking permission to enter the CPO mess or the lounge. And finally, next season, you will all be on this side asking the same questions about the next group of selectees and chiefs and wondering if you were this dysfunctional during your transition season. I'll just answer that question for you now. It'll be yes. Right? So take what you've learned and apply it to your routine, meeting deadlines, following up on taskings, and always maintain a questioning attitude. You are now the chief. Sailors will expect more from you, your leadership, your guidance, your advice. Chiefs will call on you for assistance and recommendations and guidance. Officers will seek your recommendations and guidance. Train them. Commanding officers will trust what you say and listen to your recommendations. A chief starts out knowing nothing about nothing, but ends up knowing everything about everything through the intensive training, experience they gain throughout the years. Earn your anchors every day. And congratulations to our new Chief Petty Officers.
Thank you, CMC. It is my pleasure to introduce today's guest speaker, retired Chief Hospital Corpsman Rick Palesko, Medical Services Officer, Military Sealift Command, USS Frank Cable.
Chiefs Mess, thank you for having me here today. I'm honored to stand up with you as we welcome our newest chiefs into the mess. CO, XO, CMC, Chief Selects, and guests. Greetings. Most of you know me as MSO or Rick. Some of you also know me as Chief Palesko. I retired as Chief Submarine Independent Duty Hospital Corpsman in 2017. My wife is still active duty and serving as a flag aide. For every change of command ceremony, she briefs each incoming COs and tells them to be mindful of their Admiral's 3Ds when reading their speech. Be short, be gone, and be seen. So today, I'm going to listen to my wife and will be mindful of my 3Bs. I know the Chief Selects will be especially thankful. Chief Selects, having stood where you are today, I know you won't remember much about what I'm going to say. If you're not exhausted from the events of last night, your mind is probably racing and trying to comprehend all the emotions that you're feeling right now. If you remember anything from my speech, I hope it's these words. Anchor up and be the chief. The anchors we're about to pin on you are heavy and will get heavier each day. These anchors are not an award, but a responsibility. These anchors are a symbol of leadership known by every sailor in our Navy. The instant we pin the anchors on your collar, you'll forever be seen as the chief. A leader, an expert in your field, an expert in Navy administration, a leader who holds himself or herself and others accountable, a leader who ensures good order and conduct, and a mentor to junior officers and the sailors that you lead. Leadership is responsibility and it's hard. Leadership is a gift given by those who follow, and you have to be worthy of it. Last night, the mess found you worthy, but it doesn't matter who believes in you unless you believe in yourself. Anchor up, be resilient, be the chief. Every day will be a challenge. The biggest challenge I had as the chief was to motivate each sailor to be the best that they could be. Every sailor is different, every sailor has a background, and every sailor has a story. Take the time to know your sailors. Take the time to ask them questions and truly listen. This will be your hardest task. Our nation has entrusted you with their sons and daughters, brothers or sisters, mothers or fathers. Your daily actions, no matter how small, will have a profound impact on the men and women that you lead. You will either develop sailors in their careers or destroy them. You will have to choose, so choose wisely. Continue to develop your leadership ability to ensure you make the right decision. Anchor up. Be ready. Be the chief. The greatest accomplishment I had as a chief was to see my sailors advance in rank or get commissioned. What you do every day as the chief will impact the decisions your sailors make. Your sailors will also come to you for everything and anything. There's a saying in the Navy, and it goes, ask the chief. The great General Colin Powell said it best. Leadership is solving problems, and the day soldiers stop bringing you their problems is the day you have stopped leading them. They have either lost confidence that you can help or concluded you do not care. Either case, it's a failure of leadership. Anchor up, be the leader you wish you had, be the chief. Thank you for allowing me to share this day with you. My greatest honor has been to wear our nation's cloud and the golden anchors. Leadership is lonely, but the mess is what gives us chiefs our strength. When times are challenging, rely on the mess. I wore my anchors with confidence and pride, knowing that I was part of a brotherhood and sisterhood that had my back. I knew that I wasn't alone, and you too are not alone in this journey. As your anchors are pinned on your ship collars today, stand proud of your accomplishment, along with the legacy and tradition that you are continuing since 1893.
Thank you, Chief Palesko. Our selectees are joining the ranks of Chief Petty Officers, 128 years after the formal establishment of this title. Today we recognize many years of hard work and personal sacrifice by all of our selectees and their families. In the Navy, we honor our long history and are proud of our traditions, one of which is the charge book, which you may have seen our selectees carrying around for the past month. The use of the charge book dates back to World War II. To further explain, during World War II, commanding officers were authorized to advance a promotee, deserving and qualified sailors, to the highest enlisted rank of Chief Petty Officer. The determination of deserving and qualified could be difficult for the commanding officer. The situation also presented challenges to the sailor who aspired to attain a chief's rating. How best to prepare? How to plan and track preparation? How best to display your qualification? From these dilemmas sprang the original charge books. Chiefs began to direct first-class petty officers to prepare themselves to assume the additional responsibilities by recording all the details of those responsibilities. Ships' professional libraries were generally non-existent or poorly stocked, and much had to be learned directly from conversation with the chiefs themselves and written down to be studied later. In addition to the technical aspects of various ratings, Chief Petty Officers also discuss leadership, accountability, supporting the chain of command, and other professional subject matter, often using personal experiences to illustrate how something should or should not be done. The collection of notes and study material eventually came to be called, by some, a charge book, perhaps because the petty officers who kept them were their charges, entrusted to their care for professional development, or perhaps because entries included charges, authoritative instructions, or tasking of a directive nature. Today's charge book, then, is a great tradition, which has its roots in a magnificent period of our history. Chiefs have preserved it and have returned it to its original purpose. Today's charge book is not entertainment, nor a vehicle for hazing. It is valid and a valuable learning tool. It is treated with respect and a badge of honor by all. Even better, when Chief Petty Officer initiation season is over, it becomes a treasured keepsake and the repository for the accumulation of our most precious career photos and mementos. For our selectees, today marks the successful completion of an indoctrination process that started when they entered the Navy, but began in earnest in October when their names were announced as the newest members selected to become Navy Chief Petty Officers. The transformation that has occurred during the past 6 weeks and highlighted by the events today also marks a new beginning in their careers. For no other military service places senior personnel in a position of unequaled trust and confidence. We expect our newest Chief Petty Officers to exercise additional authority and willingly accept greater responsibility. For years, and in many cases, even before joining the Navy, you have heard or used the phrase, "ask the Chief." Today, you join the Chief ranks, and from today forward, you will be counted on and referred to as the Chief. Chief Juliana Gomez will now read the fouled anchor.
The fouled anchor is the emblem of the Chiefs Petty Officers of the United States Navy. Attached to the anchor is a length of chains and the letter USN. To the novice, the anchor, chain, and letters only identify a Chief Petty Officer of the United States Navy. However, to a chief, these have a much more noble and glorious meaning. Over 128 years ago, U.S. Navy Regulations, Circular Number 1, dated 13 March 1893, authorized certain first-class Chief Petty Officers to advance to Chief Petty Officer. But the title Chief existed long before it was officially recognized by the Navy. Boatswain's mate and gunner's mates who were senior to their shipmates were called Chief. The Chief's transition period has long been an honored part of becoming a Navy Chief Petty Officer. These Petty Officers who stand before us today have successfully endured this traditional test and proven to us by word and deed that they have earned the right to be called a Chief. Today, we welcome these Chiefs into our midst by pinning their anchors and placing the hat, a symbol of United States Navy Chief Petty Officers. Now please allow me to convey the true meaning behind the Chief Petty Officer anchors. The fouled anchor indicates that it is okay to make mistakes. We learn from them. The U identifies unity. The unity we, Chief Petty Officers, have with one another, maintaining harmony and continuity of purpose and action. The S simply stands for service. Service to our God, our fellow men, and our Navy. The N stands for navigation, which reminds us to keep ourselves on a true course, so we may walk upright and steadfast before God and our fellow Chief Petty Officers. The chain is symbolic of flexibility and reminds us of the chain of life that we forge day by day, link by link. May it be forged with honor, morality, and virtue. Finally, the anchor is emblematic of hope and glory, of the fulfillment of God's promises to our souls. The golden or precious anchor by which we must be kept steadfast in faith and encouraged to abide in our proper station amidst the storm of temptation, affliction, and persecution.
Thank you, Chief Gomez. Chief Steve Adams will now read Donning of the Hat.
The combination cover holds a special significance in the Chiefs community. Before the Chiefs were first authorized to wear khaki uniform, they wore dungarees as a working uniform.
The easiest way to distinguish the chief was by the fact that he wore a combination cover instead of the white head. It was this old symbol that the chief's authority and position was associated with. We keep this part of our heritage alive today by recognizing it each year at our pinning ceremonies. This is the moment we call them chief.
Thank you, Chief Adams. I will now read the Chief Petty Officer frocking letter. Chief selects, attend, John. From Commanding Officer, USS Frank Cable, AS-40, to Chief Petty Officer selectees. Subject, authority to assume the title and wear the uniform of the Chief Petty Officer. Per reference A, you are hereby authorized to assume the title and wear the uniform of Chief Petty Officer, effective immediately. Your appointment carries with it the obligation that you exercise increased authority and willingly accept greater responsibility. Occupying now a position of greater authority, you must strive with a renewed dedication toward the value ideal of service with honor. Congratulations. Signed this 19th day of November, 2021. A.A. Alarcon, Captain, United States Navy. Commanding Officer, USS Frank Cable. Bosun, post the side boys.
Aye, aye, Senior Chief. Side boys. Feet. Left or right. Brace. One stick forward. March.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we will welcome 56 years of additional experience into our ranks. The moment has now arrived for the Chief Selectees' traditional pinning of their anchors and donning of the hat by their sponsors. Chief Select Gapith, front and center. Chief Select Gapith would like to thank her son Isaiah, her nieces and nephews Malia, Zerilyn, Tiana Rose, Hezekiah, Josiah, Paul, and MJ, her father Paul, her brothers and sisters Jonathan, Paul John, Philip, Michelle, Paulina, and Cynthia for their unwavering support. Her anchors will be pinned by her nephew Josiah and Senior Chief Sinks. Her cover will be donned by her sponsor, Senior Chief James England. Time orderly, strike 2 bells. Chief Vivian Gapith, arriving. Chief Select Salmons, front and center. Chief Select Salmons would like to thank his grandmother Lahoma, his mother Shannon, his uncles Scott and Steve, his mentors Ronald, Tom, and Brian, and his girlfriend Alexis and her father Fidel for their unwavering support. His anchors will be pinned by GMC Lucier. His cover will be done by his sponsor, Senior Chief Jim Wilkes. Time orderly, strike 2 bells. Chief Thomas Alvins, arriving. Chief Select Gonzalez, front and center. Chief Select Gonzalez would like to thank his wife Amanda, his children Michael, Abigail, Jaden, Gianna, and Isaiah, his father Felix, mother Elizabeth, mother-in-law Maria, and his mentor ITC Hart for their unwavering support. His anchors will be pinned by Chief Tina Myers and IT2 Howard. His cover will be donned by his sponsor, Senior Chief Angie Shelton. Time orderly, strike 2 bells. Chief Eli Gonzalez, arriving. Chief Select Renaud, front and center. Chief Select Renaud would like to thank his daughter Jenica, his father Walter, mother Melissa, his sisters Amanda and Brittany, and his brother Kyle for their unwavering support. His anchors will be pinned by Chief Mark Rodriguez. His cover will be donned by his sponsor, Senior Chief Pat Musser. Time orderly, strike 2 bells. Chief Christopher Renaud, arriving. Fiscal year 22 Chiefs, front and center.
Chiefs, right, face, forward, march.
Senior Chief Jim Wilkes will now read the Chief Petty Officer's Pledge. All active duty and retired chiefs, please come to attention.
Side boys. Big, forward wide. Face.
I am the Chief Petty Officer of the United States Navy. I serve my country and our people with pride and honor. I seek no special favors. I make things happen and do the best I can do. I am charged with a leadership role like no other in the world. I develop junior officers and mold my sailors. I acknowledge full responsibility for the actions of my sailors, because these sailors are the seeds of future Chief Petty Officers. I live by the Navy's core values of honor, courage, and commitment. I set the example. I establish the standards of performance. My sailors are students and I am their teacher. I guide and influence the lives of these young men and women. In the final analysis, my actions will determine the quality of these sailors. They look up to me because I treat them with dignity and respect, because they need a leader. I am there for them. After all, I am a Chief Petty Officer in the United States Navy.
Thank you, Senior Chief Wilkes. It is only by the grace of God and tenacity of the Chief Petty Officers Mess that these young chiefs have survived their training and stand before you today. Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you our newest Chief Petty Officers. Senior Chief Sinks will now read the Chief Petty Officer's Creed.
During the course of initiation, you have been caused to humbly accept challenge and face adversity. This you have accomplished with rare good grace. Pointless as some of these challenges may have seemed, there were valid, time-honored reasons behind each pointed barb. Your faith in the fellowship of Chief Petty Officers was necessary to overcome these hurdles. The goal was to instill in you that trust is inherent with the donning of the uniform of a chief. Our intent was to impress upon you that challenge is good, a great necessary reality which cannot mar you, which, in fact, strengthens you. In your future as a Chief Petty Officer, you will be forced to endure adversity far beyond what has thus far been imposed upon you. You must face each challenge and adversity with the same dignity and good grace you have already demonstrated. By experience, by performance, and by testing, you have been advanced to Chief Petty Officer. In the United States Navy, and only in the United States Navy, the rank of E7 carries with it unique responsibilities and privileges you are expected to fulfill and bound to observe. Your entire way of life is changed. More will be expected of you. More will be demanded of you. Not because you are an E7, but because now you are a Chief Petty Officer. You have not merely been promoted a pay grade, you have joined an exclusive fellowship, and, as in all fellowships, you have a special responsibility to your comrades, even as they have a special responsibility to you. This is why we, in the United States Navy, may maintain with pride our feelings of accomplishment once we have attained the position of Chief Petty Officer. Your responsibilities and privileges do not appear in print. They have no official standing. They cannot be referred to you by name, number, nor file. They have existed for over 100 years because chiefs before you have freely accepted responsibility beyond the call of printed assignment. Their actions and their performance demand the respect of their seniors as well as their juniors. It is required that you be the fountain of wisdom, the ambassador of goodwill, the authority in personal relations, as well as in technical applications. Ask the chief is a household phrase in and out of the Navy. You are the chief, the exalted position you have achieved. And the word exalted is used advisedly. Exists because of the service, character, and performance of the chiefs before you. It shall exist only as long as you and your fellow chiefs maintain these standards. It was our intention that you never forget this day. It was our intention to test you, to try you, and to accept you. Your performance has assured us that you will wear the hat with the same pride as your comrades in arms before you. We take a deep, sincere pleasure in clasping your hand and accepting you as a Chief Petty Officer in the United States Navy.
Navy Chief! Navy Pride! Navy Chief! Navy Pride! Navy Chief! Navy Pride!
Thank you, Senior Chief Sinks. Will the guests please rise? Lieutenant Caniaro will now deliver the benediction.
Let us pray. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us, to him be glory for his name, from all generations, forever and ever. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Thank you all for sharing this special occasion with our new chiefs' careers. You may now congratulate our newest chief petty officers. The receiving line will start to my right.
Honor, courage, commitment. Stand Navy out to sea. Fight our battle cry. We'll never change our course, so vicious foes here shy. Roll out the TNT, boom, anchors away. Sail on to victory and sink their bones with Davy Jones' array. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to foreign shores, we sail at the break of day, through our last night on shore. Drink to the foam until we meet once more. Here's wishing you a happy voyage home. Blue of the mighty deep, gold of God's great sun. Let these our colors be, till all of time be done, 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 done. On 7 seas